start there. So hi everyone, thanks for joining the second session. So we are going to talk about third pass validation. I'm just wondering if any of you that joined us later, if it's your first time to just hear the word third pass validation, or if you've done it in the past, please let us know in the chat. I'll just keep the chat open to see what's coming up. So I'm going to, first of all, just describe to you what third pass validation, then I will do a demo, which will be short because we all know validation. Yeah. So third pass validation is actually the same as, yes? Okay. So third pass validation is actually more or less the same as validation, the normal validation. The only difference with it is that you are validating what the validator has validated. So you're doing like a third check, and you're doing it in a bigger scale. So you're going to download the whole area of interest, and you double check every feature that was added to the map. So our learning objectives today is, I want by the end of this session, you understand issues created by the tasking manager boundaries, and then you learn how to deal with JOSM setup for third pass validation and how to conduct third pass validation on HOTS projects. So third pass validation is literally like downloading the So third pass validation is downloading the whole area of interest, and then you download the data in it, and then you start checking it out. Again, there are different segmentation and classifications that you need to check out. So how to download the area of interest from the tasking manager? So first of all, in order to be able to even see the area of interest in the tasking manager, you need to what? You need to activate your expert mode. Without this, you'll not be able to do that. I'll demonstrate that when I go to the hot tasking manager, and you will be able to see the area of interest and the task, and you can also download the task grids. So in the past, we used to download the area of interest, but these days it's better you download the task so that there's a better tool, download along, that helps you download the data while you just back waiting for it to all download, which is very, very interesting. I'll show you. So again, you enter your number, or you just click on the link that you want of the project that you want to do third pass on, and then you activate your expert mode, and you'll be able to see download grids or download tasks. So I want to illustrate to you how the difference between these two. Okay. So after that, you just drag the GeoJSON into JOSM, or you can just add it. I'll show you how. And then there's a download continuous plugin, and then there's also download along, which I will illustrate. And after that, you can also, another way is just you can just download the data. You can download the data bit by bit, depending on your preference. So, and then you can download the grids, like I mentioned. Instead of downloading the area of interest, you download the grids, and then you use the tool of download along, and you'll be able to download the data. So I'll illustrate how to get download continuous tool when I get there. So how do you get started? Like I mentioned earlier on, third pass validation is literally the same as validation. So you need to activate your filters. Mainly the ones that usually use are building codes, or highways, waterways, land use, and natural. And also you can use specific filters if you want. For instance, you can enter highway equals residential, highway equals truck, or building equals yes, building equals apartments, like anything that you want to check in particular, you can be as specific as you can. So, and then since you are working, you're going to download a lot of data. You need to apply your filters, because when you download so many features, it may crash your PC. And you have to make sure that you delete anything else and leave only your data. Your data on the one that you want to work on. If you have any added, maybe GeoJSON or anything you've been working on JSON, you need to delete that and put only the GeoJSON or the grids that you want to check. And then again, as good validating practice, you need to have your map paint styles, and do not forget to do the normal validator tool results at the end. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back. Okay. So I'm just going to go back to our projects document, and I will select randomly any of these. So just click on this. Relatively, if you have the number, in the future you can just get it. Any questions? I'm seeing something in the chat. Anissa says it's her first time, as well as Jenny. She has never done it. Awesome. So as it loads, do you have any questions? Any questions as it loads? Okay, so like I mentioned earlier on, you have to come to your settings, and then you come activate your expert mode. Once your expert mode is activated, you will see the options for deleting the area of interest and the boundaries. So I'm going to start with a grid because it's the newest way and it's the better way. I have to make sure my JSON is open. Like I mentioned earlier on, you see I have like other things on. So I'll just delete it and make sure my JSON is as clear as possible, because I'm going to be downloading a lot of data. So I just clicked here and I have it here. So you can long press, hold it and drag it there. The other way you can do that is just coming here on your files, and then you locate where it is, then you add it. Okay, so okay, so one thing, remember, your filters are checked, you have your filters on, you have your map paint cells on, which is good, and then the validator results, normal validation. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to do a small measurement. I would like to know to what extent should I download this data. So I'm just going to use my line tool, and I want to know the length. So I'm going to come up here, and down here I'm seeing it's about it is about 61. Okay, so 70, actually it is 73. So I'm going to delete it, and I am going to highlight everything. Even if you don't unselect the nodes, that is no problem. And I'll go to my files, and I'll go to download and along. Remember when I measured it, so I'm going to put it's approximately 100 meters apart. So a half of this is what you put here. I think 20 is good enough, or I can put 50. Okay, so I want to download it as a new layer. Okay, it's contacting the server. All right. Oh my God. You know what? I forgot. I need to deactivate my download along. I think it's up. Let's see. Edit. preferences. All right, let's see. Download along. Download continuous. It's the one causing this. Okay. So I'm just going to redo the illustration, and I will show you that later. Why I actually don't like using it, it's because of that. It just makes you anxious. Okay, so again, come to your files and then say download along. I'm leaving my values as they are and I'm downloading them. And it has downloaded for me the data. This time I did it accurately. So most cases it can divide for you. It says it's going to download it maybe in 3 individuals or 4 individuals or 20 individuals. For this time, I think I was very accurate. It has done it only once. It has downloaded everything for me at once. So there is that. So I'm going to illustrate how to now do the third pass validation, and then I'll show you the different ways on how you can download the data. So as usual, as you can see, there is a lot of data. Maybe something to take note. It's okay if it has downloaded a bit away from your boundaries here. That's okay. It's understandable. Never mind that. So again, I'm just going now to do the actual validation, third pass. Okay. And to close these tabs. I'm closing this for now. And yeah. So right now I'm checking buildings. And remember you remember the imagery that the project was instructed was Maxa. So I'm going to turn my Maxa on. And now we can just pan through the map and we see the quality. Let us see together. Looks okay. Let's see before we start doing the actual third pass. So the work looks actually good. Let's see here. Just a few, see there's some extra nodes here that we may need to delete. The work is not so bad. It's not bad actually, it's good. Okay, and it looks like we do not have like overlapping buildings. So well done, guys. All right. So I discourage people that select everything, like you go and enter in buildings equals all, and then you square everything. First of all, I'm not sure if it will permit you. If you select like lots of data and you want to square them at once, JOSM will not allow you to do that. And it's bad practice because you'll be squaring other buildings or other features that may not need to be squared. But for instance, if I want to work on this area, I can just do like a slit, or I can select these alone and then I pan through the map and make sure I know what I'm squaring. Yeah. Then I'll go ahead and square. This is okay. Yeah, this is fine. So now I'm going to start the third pass. Remember my filters is on. That means I don't have any major errors here. So I'll just come here where there's so many buildings, and I'll just keep adjusting the corners just to make sure everything fits perfect. Yeah. So doing that. Okay. Okay. Like that. So I have to do this for each and every square, as you can see. So usually when I'm doing third pass, I just go bit by bit. Like this might be 2. So I'm just going to map this out. Escape. Okay. I'll have to delete this extra node. Okay. This looks like there's a building here. Stuff like this. Someone mapped this as a separate. Instead of now, I'm going to just undo. I'll just bring this here. want like a small reflection. I'm not sure why it has not flagged it. Let me just double check and see if my paint styles are activated. There. So that's why it's good to do the validation results. It flags what the paint styles have not seen. So I could just make this go, I think, up to here. All right. This looks like it is space, so maybe it's the building here. So whenever you're doing this, make sure you just avoid dilution as much as you can. Just doing this. Okay. All right. So if I was doing like a complete mass validation on this, I'll have, yes, go ahead. Anissa, are you saying something? Okay. So these do not look like buildings. Just put them, actually they could be. Leave them. So I'm just adjusting stuff. When we are mapping buildings, we don't map shadows. So I'm trying to move them a bit. Is this a building? Maybe. Let's align it. Okay. So this looks like it comes up to this side. Okay, this looks like it comes up to down here and it has no, these extra corners. This has an extra node, I'll just delete it. This looks like there are two buildings. So just split. And I create two out of that. Of this, need to square first. And I'll move this. This could be a small building anyways. Let me just make it look better. Okay, these extra nodes should be deleted. I'm not sure if it runs up to the side. So I think okay, I need to move this a bit that side. I think there's just vegetation covering the roof here. So I'm just adjusting here. The same this side. Okay, so you have to do that for every corner, yeah? So sometimes if you feel like this is very overwhelming, I'll show you how you can download like only this bit, you work on it, then you download another bit until like everything is complete. So assuming I have cleaned every building here and it's up to standard, I'll go ahead and upload. But remember, this time you don't have a change set comment. So you say added and I'll correct that, modified buildings. But to make the person that will look at this later, to make it very clear for them, I usually just say third pass validation. The main point of this change set comment is to make the person that will look at your work later exactly what you did. Third pass validation, and I write the task number 13, 15, 7. and I'm good to go. Then I make sure the imagery that I've used is check, and then I go ahead and upload. Any questions so far? Okay, so after that, I'll go and do the next one, which is roads. Yeah, I'll first go and uncheck this, which is roads. And how do we check roads? We have to make sure there is connectivity, there are no hanging roads, etc., and the roads are well aligned. And there are no like small portions of roads. We need to fix that as well. So already here there is a warning. There is no like there is no layer. We shall look at that in a bit. So I'm going to select one of the main roads here. Maybe I can select this one, and then I'll do shift Control E, just as we do, just to look out if there's any hanging roads around this area. I'm seeing there is this one here. So what I can do for this case is I will just come select it and make sure it's well connected to this other road here. Just again to do shift E. Okay, this area looks okay. Looks like the roads are well connected. All right. Right. Again, remember, you can be as more specific as you want. You can enter in a filter for residential. You can check tags and make sure every tag is the buildings, rather, the roads are well tagged. That is correct. So I want to now check the connectivity this side down. Remember, this is a buildings task. So I'll do E, and everything seems to be well connected as well this side, though they're not like connected. Okay. So let's check here as well. All right, they're connected. Okay, so again, check the tag if you want it to double check, and just to make sure they are well tagged. Residential, yes, could be residential because they're going towards buildings, they're connecting buildings. This is also residential. You can align them. Okay. And then the next one that you can go to is actually depending on what the task is. And as you can see, even when I remove these, there are a few waterways. So let's see what highway equals O, whether waterway equals O. The same way we check for connectivity and continue like how continuously. It's the same way we do with this. The way we do the roads is the same way we do the waterways. So waterways all look well connected. And now maybe we can check the flow. Remember our imagery, open cycle map. So it's going up. Let's see, this is 11050. Let's check down here. Okay. Let's use this 100. Okay, this is 100. 100. 150. So I think the direction is okay. All right, so I am going to delete this and go back. All right, so you can also check for direction. The connectivity is okay. Then the last one is natural equals all, and I can't see any natural, but just to confirm, there is nothing like that. So lastly, what you do is to run our validator tool, which I'm going to do that. Okay, after running the validator tool, we are going to fix. So another thing when you're fixing warnings or errors, make sure you fix the ones that you know. Fix as like the common ones, overlapping, and leave the very hard ones like relations and what. If you can fix it and you're very confident with it, go ahead. There's no need to complete everything. Unnamed ways, please ignore that, because remember we are doing remote work. So they're saying that there's some overlapping. You're going to just zoom to the problem and we see. So this is fixable just to align this road using existing nodes. And you're good to go. Maybe I can get a chance to fix that. Then overlapping buildings. Let's see. Okay, these buildings actually seem to be different. Okay, let's see. It's like different, and then this is different. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to extend this here just to be fast squared before I use my extrude tool. And I am going to merge these nodes. And I'll delete that one. Okay. All right, so I think I'll fix that. And then I'll come to the next one here. It is up. I was wondering why I wasn't seeing it. So I'm just going to move this aside just to make sure I have a better picture. I can even try to compare with another imagery. Looks like there's a building, this and this. Okay. Okay, let me try another one. This is not clear enough. Let me try Mapbox. Looks like there's a building here and here, right, guys? Anyone? Just to make sure I'm using the, okay. So it looks like there's a building here and here. Do you agree, guys? Okay, so I'm just going to move this here. And then, because the roofs look different. I'll move that one there, just make sure it's, and then I'll bring this one down here. Though I will just delete these nodes. Yeah, like that. Okay. All right, so okay, I know my errors have gone. Okay, so, and we have 75 unnamed ways. So that I will ignore. As you can see, the people that worked on this project did a lot of work, and I have not spent a lot of time to, like, you wouldn't spend a lot of time to do like a third pass validation on this. So I'm going to go ahead and upload, but this time I'm going to say modified buildings, and I fixed overlapping features. I'll leave it at that. And then I'll upload. Any questions so far? You know, am I recording this session? I think I didn't record.
Recording is switched on, Becky.
Okay. Oh, good. I thought I wasn't recording. Anyway, that's nice. All right. So, any questions? Let's see. Seeing as if there is one. Everything is going on well. So there is this particular question that someone asked in the first session, and someone was like, what if, you know, that those times when you find an area has like an offset, or it has a different imagery used here, the other imagery, like they're mixed up imageries and the place is heavily mapped. So in such scenarios, I usually just encourage mappers to use the imagery that was used initially for mapping, especially when there's like there's heavy mapping and there's a lot of editing that you may need to do, or you may need to do fresh mapping. Yeah, so I usually encourage the mappers to use the imagery as the initial imagery that the mapper used. And then sometimes you might find there's an offset here and then there's an offset, like there's so many offsets. So in that case, I would also encourage the mappers to, for instance, if a project said, let's say Maxa, and the person used being in a huge area and there are lots of missing objects or missing features, buildings in particular, I would encourage the person to offset for themselves to the imagery that they're using, and then they map out all the buildings that are not existing. Yeah, I don't know if I can illustrate that here. Let me see. But the Bing and Maxa is really aligning. Yeah. So let me just give you a small demo here. I'm going to cause an offset. So imagine I find something like this and there are lots of missing. So I would, instead of like moving these objects and aligning them, I'll just do my own offset. For instance, I would offset them like this. Doing the normal offset, going to imagery, then offset, then I offset. Then after offsetting them like this, I'll get my building tool and I map out all the buildings that are missing. And then I'll upload and I'll be good to go. So that's how you can go about such challenges. So like I promised earlier on, I wanted to illustrate, like, you see, these are so many, and we are lucky that this project has like very, very few buildings. So sometimes you can find that the area is so crowded, and downloading the entire area like this can be very hectic to work on it like at once. So you can also do it this way. So I'm just going to delete. Okay, I'm going to delete this layer and you go back to our initial layer. So imagine this is what you have to clean and you feel like downloading it at once is quite hectic. So you can do it in bits. So I can say, let me first download this area, check the data, and then work on it. The only challenge with this is that you cannot, you see, when you're working on roads, you need like a wider space or a wider, many more tasks so that you can check out the connectivity and all that. So you can do this by only checking on the buildings and making sure that in your specific area that you've downloaded, roads are not hanging, they're all connecting well. And the same as with waterways, etc., and they're not overlapping. Then at the end, when you have downloaded like the entire area, you can check out the overall connectivity, how they are continuous. You can check out the flow of waterways, etc. So I would say I want to start with this area. Just zoom into the area and then I come to download, and then I download it as a new layer. So in this case, I can filter out my buildings. I clean them. I do the same with roads and highways, etc. Then after that, I continue downloading this other area. So I can do it in bits like this. Then I come here, I also download it in bits. But this time when I'm downloading, I'm just adding it to the initial layer. I'm not going to download it as a new layer. Yeah. So I would download it like that. So you do it until you reach at the top here. Yeah. Okay, so that's how you can go about it. So like I mentioned, there are different ways of downloading. You can download the area of interest or the grids. So these are the grids that we have. So that's how you can download bit by bit. So there's also what they say download continuous. So download continuous, I usually don't recommend people, but I don't know if it works for some people, because once you zoom in, it doesn't give you enough time to like zoom in the area that you want. Yeah. So this is what I mean. And then the challenge with it, if you do not deactivate it and you select like no more mapping, it will continue downloading for you as long as you zoom into one area that has not been downloaded. So to activate that, still, you just go to preferences and you go to plugins and then download continuous download. So when I check it and I'll say, okay, it will activate for me. All right. So when I come here and I say, okay, now download, hope it has activated as a new layer. See it like, remember, I want now to zoom in, for instance, to this area here. Before I even align properly, it is downloading. So this is how it works. Okay, you have to be super like that. So it keeps downloading for you like that. See, before I like even real adjust, it's downloading. It's like, it's very quick. That's the challenge I have with it. It's extremely quick. And you've just zoomed in, rather in. You've zoomed out so that you can move to the area you want to download. It just keeps downloading this unnecessary area. That's the only challenge I have with it. Like, it's continuous, really, like the tool's name. Yeah, can be like, for instance, I can be, when I want to download, see, it does not permit me to move to the area that I want to download. Like, it does it so quickly. So I usually encourage people to download in bits or to use the download along, which works best. I don't know what you I don't know what you prefer, guys, but this is how it is. And then the other one that I wanted to illustrate is now you see, I haven't deactivated it, and then when I forget and I come, let's see, if I want to contribute to any of these projects, I want to do like normal validation or normal mapping, you'll see what's going to happen. So I have to always remember like to deactivate it. So contribute, and I want to select some tasks here and see. Assuming I want to do like, let me say, third mass validation of those, I will, okay. So after downloading for me the areas that I want, remember when you're mapping, you zoom in and out. So it like keeps downloading. I feel like it's a panicking tool. It downloads continuously. So if you zoom in and out to see, it keeps downloading. So in order to remove this, I just have to come to I need to come this side and deactivate it. So I need to continuous download, and I deactivate it and I go back to normal. So that's how the download continuous works. You can try it out. If it works well for you, then that's awesome. So another way is, I'm just going to stop this, and then I will go back to our document and I download another project. So if you realize some of these projects, we use map swipe data or grid 3 data, where we select only areas that have where settlements are. That's why you find out that in a specific area that like here, let me see. Let me just go back here. Okay, you realize that we do not have tasks here. And sometimes we cannot have tasks in the middle when like it's crowded, when it's super crowded. And this project was for beginner. Usually they ignore like a crowded place like this. Yeah, you cannot create such a project for a beginner mapper. So if I'm creating projects for beginner mappers, I will like go to like rural areas, for instance. Here you find maybe one project like a grid here, and it has ignored in the middle here. So that is okay. That such areas are usually reserved for advanced mappers like you guys, and they leave these like less crowded areas for beginner mappers. Okay, so some people create projects like this, and then some just get like the whole area of interest. Like let's get maybe let's get this one. just close this. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and just download the area of interest. I'll hold it, drag and drop. So you see, this place, like if I turn off the imagery so that you can see. So this is like the whole area of interest. They're not like grids. So I encourage people to download grids because you can use that download along tool and it works perfectly with grids. But if I was to download grids, this is how it will come. Grids download like the single tasks. Yeah. So this is how the grids are. This is how the grids are. Okay, so this is how the grids will be, and then this is how the boundary one will be. So the boundary one, imagine you had just the GeoJSON, like a boundary like this, and you wanted to download data. For this case, if you use download alone, it can be very challenging. Most cases, it will download for you like just around this area. Yeah, let's try it out and we see. Let's just leave it like the way it is. It says it's going to download. And this is exactly what I was saying. Sometimes it divides the download into different, it calls it individuals or different downloads. So it's going to download this data 6 times. Let's see what's going to happen. So it downloads that, downloads. Maybe as it downloads, sometimes you can download data and then it gives you an error, like an error occurred while I was downloading the data. That is still okay. Sometimes when you're downloading data from OSM and you're downloading like big data, OSM can read it as, how do they call it? Bad request. So that is still very fine. Okay. Right, so when you zoom in, actually this has really worked for us. Sometimes it downloads just around and it does not download in the middle. That's why I prefer using the grids where you can easily measure and know the extent. But this, it has worked it well. It has done it well. Okay, so same thing. Let's see how the mapping was in this task. So let's put the Maxa imagery. Which image? The Maxa is really dull. It's very dull. Though the work looks fine. People that mapped here use, like here is the tall buildings. That's why they're mapped like this. Remember how to map tall buildings? I guess that's why they were mapped like that, because they look tall. The mapping looks okay. Okay. So that is another way you can download, or relatively, that's the download along. The other way you can do it, if this is like too much data for you to work with, you can, let's first turn this on, turn off the imagery, and then turn this on. Let's see. Okay. So another way is just to like come here, maybe say I want to start in this corner, just zoom in. It's okay to download a bit of the other area, download like that, then you come downloading. But this time when you're downloading, you just add it to that layer. So you follow your boundary, this, like that. Then you can turn on the imagery, work on the objects here like that, just working on it in bits. Yeah. So yeah, and then this other one is just the one we've been working on, but in grids still. Just do the measurement, just to estimate the extent, and you look at your ruler here. If it's giving you other measurements, you can just click and until it comes to meters. So it's around 460. You go to download along for this. You can put this into 500 and then you increase this. A half of this can be, let's put, let's put 50 and you see download as new. Hey, wait. One thing I forgot is that you have to select the grids. You have to select the grids. Let's first download. You have to select. So it only downloaded where I had selected. So you have to select the grids, all of them. It does not matter. It's going to download into 7 individuals. Then just sit and relax and wait for it to download for you. Yeah, and I think that is it, unless there are questions. So in most cases, this session is really long because you have to show people how to add the filters, different filters that you need. You have to show them how to add map paint styles. You have to show them how to correct errors. But for us, we've gone through all that process. Maybe one last thing is before you do like the final, before you leave that, like the task score, is remember to run your validation results like I had mentioned. So that validation results just helps you catch those other errors that you can. And then third pass validation is just the same as validation. So once you're satisfied that you have aligned everything, you have mapped everything, everything aligns to imagery, everything is squared, that is complete third pass validation. And third pass validation, like if I'm doing third pass on this project, it can take a longer time depending on the amount of data on the project that you're working on and the quality. Can even take 2 days just fixing this, and there's no rush to finish a project. You can just work on it in bits. Jen is asking, if I do third pass, can you do the third pass if you've already validated a lot of projects? Yes, definitely. But the only advice I give you is to just wait for the project to get completed. Just imagine if you're doing third pass and there's someone else working on the area, because third pass you're downloading the entire project, and if someone else is working on that area, you might cause conflicts. Yeah, unless you're like sometimes I validate projects on my own, so there I know it's only me working on it. But if it's like a random project, anyone has access to it, people are contributing on it, so it's better to just wait for the entire project to get complete before you do third pass validation. But yes, you can do third pass on any project, or on a project when the validation is incomplete. Yeah. And then maybe the third pass validation can also help you do analysis. Remember when we talked about how you can know who worked on what, you can filter out all buildings and you know how many buildings a certain person worked on. You can know who added what at a certain time by adding the date filters, like the way we learned. Yeah, stuff like that. Now imagine you're working on a project in your community, and maybe you forgot to record the stats on a certain date. And remember, like we have is it the OSM Galaxy that's only 24 hours? And then you want maybe particularly to know the stats of that person, your maybe team on that specific day. You can come and you know the project, you can come download the entire data, filter out all buildings. For instance, this would take my time, so I'm just going to select here. So assuming I have selected, assuming these are all the buildings in this project, and I want to know who worked on what, and I can even use this to check the quality. Yeah. So I can just come on author. Where is my author? Okay. I can come on my author and I will know exactly like this person worked on 90% of the objects. So when I click on this, I'll know this person has 91, I'll know this one has 17. So when I click on the person, it will select so I can actually tell the quality of their buildings, of their work. Get another imagery. Let's use Maxa. So here I can know like this person squares their buildings, this person has aligned their work. I can actually gauge the quality of mapper that they are just by doing this. This needs to be fixed, stuff like that. So I can do like a small analysis here just using by downloading the whole project area of interest. So it's not like how you allowed to validate, but you have mapped the task. Jenny, are you able to unmute yourself and ask? I don't think I quite get your other question.
So like if you map a task, you're not allowed to validate it. But then say you validated half of the entire project, then should you be the one to do the third pass? Because then it's also like the same idea of having a new person look at it.
Yeah, I can, first of all, I think it's okay for you to do the third pass. So you notice even after validation, there are those like extra, how can I say, like this project is quite good, but you'll see there are still some overlapping stuff, buildings crossing each other, like a road that's not well connected. So stuff like that are prompt to happen. So you can still do the third pass. That's what I can encourage you. So you can fix a task and you think it's well mapped, it's well complete, but on the other side, it's not. You can do that. And maybe if, depending on the kind of mapper you are, yeah. Now, I think for your case, Jenny, I think it's okay to do the third pass. Okay, like for instance, you're validating projects and you want to see if you validated very well. Like, is there something I have missed? Even after validating the entire project, let's say it's you who has worked on a project. Like I do validations of different projects and I'd be wondering, like, have I validated well? Is there something I missed? Let me download the whole area of interest and I see if there are any overlapping things. And I see if there are roads that are not well connected, if the flows of the rivers are okay, if I missed anything in between there, if it's aligning, if my work looks good, if I need to adjust anything. So yes, I would encourage you to do a third pass validation on your own project that you have validated. It's like I'm validating now, I'm revalidating, I'm checking again. It's like another check. It's like reopening the work you've worked on to check and see if it's all good. So yes, I would encourage that. Remember, you're validating, you're not mapping. Like it's not like you are, how can I say it? Like you are validating your mapped work. You're validating your validated work, something like that. And this third pass validation is only encouraged for advanced experienced mappers and someone who is happy and comfortable to do this. Because remember, you are downloading a huge area. You have to be very careful not to like cause any other errors. Yeah, so that's why I'm actually making this very optional. In case you're happy to do third pass validation, you let me know and I assign you a project and you just practice and see how things work. Yeah, I hope I answered your question, Jenny.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions? I think that's it, unless you have questions. So this has been very easy because we are actually validators. We've been doing like validation, so we know exactly what. Yes, Ralph, go ahead.
Just to give a little bit of advice on third pass. in many instances, the third pass is actually done by the project creator, certainly with activations and things like that. You can do a third pass by request, as Becky said. If you are interested in doing this, then she can allocate projects to you. But don't assume that you automatically can do a third pass on your own bat. And if you do, you need to notify the project creator that you are doing a third pass so that they understand what is happening with the project. Back to you, Becky.
Awesome. Thank you on that, Ralph. I think that's even much clearer. Yeah. So when you're doing third pass, you just need to be more careful so that you don't damage features. That's why I really love, one of the tools I love in is the filter. You can just filter out and make sure you are working on bit by bit. You know, when you work in small things at a time, it's much easier. Other than, like, imagine if you have to validate stuff and everything is inside, it can be a bit confusing. Yeah, I think that's it. Do you have any other questions? Let's see. No questions from Super. Nice. So in case you're interested and you're happy to do third pass validation, please let me know so that I can assign to you a project and I can mark it that someone is doing third pass on it. And again, when you are uploading your work, just mark it that you're doing a third pass. Yeah, if there are no questions, I think we can leave a minute early. Awesome. All right, thank you everyone. In case you have any other questions, can just keep asking on Slack. Bye everyone. Okay.